thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, very good.
Thanks. Yeah.
Blake. Oh, yeah, thank you. Blake's still alcoholic.
Blake.
Yeah, put on my new fancy Costco glasses I just got. Yeah, make me look sharp. Yeah. I'm gonna start with a funny reading that actually ties in some relevance to alcoholism. I used to think the brain was the most important thing in the body. Then I realized who was telling me that. Emo Phillips wrote that. So, yeah, obviously the brain tells you some funny things. Yeah, I'll do a quick reading also from a daily reflection too. So maybe that'll help inspire me to talk for a minute, or actually 29 more minutes. Here are the steps we took. It was from June 2nd, and it's titled The Upward Path, and it just says, here are the steps we took. Alcoholics Anonymous, page 59. There are the words that lead into the 12 steps. These are the words that lead into the 12 steps. And the direct simplicity to sweep aside all psychological and philosophical considerations about the rightness of the steps. They describe what I did. I took the steps, and sobriety was the result. The words did not imply that I should walk the well-trodden path of those who went before, but rather there is a way for me to become sober, and that it is a way. I shall have to find it is a new path, one that leads to the infinite light at the top of the mountain. The steps advise me about the footholds that are safe and the chasms to avoid. They provide me with the tools I need during the many parts of the solitary journey of the soul. When I speak of this journey, I share my experience, strength, and hope with others. All right. Yeah. So yeah, Blake alcoholic. I originally come from the Midwest. I was originated there almost 50 years ago, believe it or not, when America was 200 years old. Now it's about to be 250. Yeah. So yeah, it's crazy to think, AA, oddly enough, did start in the Midwest, which, I'm not saying Midwesterns are better, but they're always pretty unique. And that's actually a Kurt Vonnegut thing is, wherever there's a Hoosier, there's always something interesting going on. So, yeah, I grew up in a middle class, interesting family, and definitely found substances pretty early on. But the main thing is I also found fear pretty early on too. Fear and isolation and just kind of being stuck in my own self. And my first few interesting experience with alcohol as a dabbling thing, I took a wine cooler from my parents and hid it and just snuck it and sipped on it. And it was like, again, that warm feeling hit. And I was just like, yes, this is awesome. But I was like, why am I drinking alone as a preteen, oddly enough? And then one day after high school, I have a sister who's 3 years older than me. I just decided to pour myself a glass of wine and drink it with a microwave pasta meal. Like, my sister was like, what the hell are you doing? I'm like, I don't know. It seems like sophisticated, like what our parents do. But yeah, I'm not to say either of my parents were alcoholics. My dad definitely used substances. And one thing, I remember him telling me one time, if you find something and it works really good, double it up and take a little more. So yeah, that was probably not the best advice. But yeah, definitely fast forward to when I did get drinking. And the one other first good drinking experience, one time I tried to beat this guy up who was bigger than me, and my friends had my back, but for some reason he just let me allow him to hit him once, and then just kind of took off running. And oddly enough, one other night later on, maybe a year later, I'm getting drunk with this guy, and I just get hammered way too quick, and I'm just heaving and hoeing, just ralphing all hardcore in the bushes, and that dude was the guy that picked me up and actually nursed me and took me inside and gave me a glass of water and was like, dude, you're blowing it, man. You're going way too hard, way too fast. So that was a good indicator that maybe alcohol was not the best choice. So fast forward a little while, I was a young teen and I messed with some other outside things that we'll just call shrubbery. And I was a daily user of shrubbery, even though alcohol was probably easier to get in the Midwest, where it's still illegal to be a shrubbery user. So yeah, but then alcohol was always there at the parties. I just get one or two and just go harder until I was just again just either blue at the face, just puking everywhere, or just like sitting there stewing like, how can I get more? Like it was always kind of a. And the funny thing is like it's weird that my first few things were like, okay, I can have one and stop, but then like later on, I don't really remember too many nights, even like into my 20s and 30s, where I could just have one or two and just stop. Like it was always like go harder, go home, which maybe was an indicator that perhaps alcohol was not my best choice of beverage. uh, but yeah, later on, there was a few also stays at a couple correctional, just a quick weekend stays myself. I just a little public intox here, a little driving while intoxicated there, and then some later on assault charge, but it was in the 4th degree, so it was pretty chill, right? But yeah, alcohol did not make me work any better or act any better. So I definitely found it did chill out some of the fear, right? And it did chill out some of the anxiety that I had growing up, and then also just being a real adult, which I still am working on. But the thing is that with alcohol, it did ease the comfort and then just get me into places. I remember specifically when I moved out here from Indiana, being with a friend who was from Indiana, and he was like, "Man, I just gotta like slam this can of alcohol to like calm my nerves before the show." And I was like, really? Is that what we're doing? I was like, oh yeah, that's actually what I do too. Like it's weird that other friends like are like recognizing me and I'm recognizing them and like, oh yeah, we're actually living to do this thing daily, day in and day out. And as I moved out here from Indiana too, a lot of my friends who were stuck back there started slowly traversing to the other side of the rainbow, or dying, as we say. And one particular guy who was like my best friend, he overdosed, and that was pretty harsh, and that really hit me where I like definitely went into those heavy weekend sprees and just was like gone for good, just drinking the whole time, only to wake up and have to be at work on Monday. The old working man's problem. But yeah, definitely alcohol was not the solution for me. I kind of found that you know I needed to stop, but I never could stop. And then the few times when like people would tell me, "Hey man, just take it easy and give it a break for a few weeks or a few days," and then I'd try it, but it just wasn't very conducive to my being. And then the other thing, like when I did do it for a certain amount of time, I just go that much harder. I just come back and just be that much more thirsty and needing more drinks. And so I was like, yeah, those are not good signs. Those are not good indicators that alcohol is going to give me relief. And so the whole, my rock bottom was not super hardcore, but I've definitely, those times going to jail felt pretty hardcore. But the real rock bottom to me was just feeling like desolate and feeling lost and feeling like I could kind of just throw it all away and all my relationships and just burn all the bridges to the ground and just make bad situations worse. But the thing was coming to AA and just coming to recovery. Oddly enough, the weird flip side is I wouldn't have found AA if it wasn't for my partner's friend who was doing a 9-step. Oddly enough, we were talking about 9 steps. She was doing an amends to my partner, And my partner was like, Blake's having a real hard trouble keeping the drinks down, like keeping it put aside. And like, because at the time I was trying to navigate not drinking, but also trying to navigate the daily shrubbery again. And it's way stronger and crazier out here. And my mind was just getting loopy, and I was like really thinking some bad thoughts. And so she was like, hey, maybe you should try one of these meetings that I go to. And I was like, what? How is that going to stop drinking? But oddly enough, the oddly thing, crazy, she was sharing at a huge speaker meeting. It was by the book when it used to be bigger. And in the basement, there was like 80 to 90 people down there. And she was sharing, and she just like started sharing and just started pouring her heart into it. And I like heard what she was saying, and I was like, whoa, that's some heavy stuff, and that's very similar to my experience, but just not in her, uh, exact direct experience. And so also to just dial it way back, like I grew up with kind of an overbearing mom, but also a big sister and a dad who liked to dress up like women. So I always had a weird feminine, like I just always attached to like I needed this mothering thing. I needed someone to like, tell me the right thing. And she was just hitting me in my heartstrings and saying, yeah, dude, just go to this AA and it'll get better. And after that first meeting, it did feel a little bit better, but I didn't really get the message because people were telling me stuff like, just go to meetings and don't drink. And I was like, well, what is more to that? Like, if I don't drink, I'm still going to be like spinning the wheels and going crazy. And so then, like, at that first meeting, I got a guy's number, and it took me a few weeks and a few more like stumbles to actually give him a call and be like, hey, what's up? Where's these other meetings at? And what's this AA actually about? And no one, and people were kind of being like, oh yeah, just show up and do it still. And like no one, I had to like go to a few more extra meetings to actually realize sort of the key essence of like coming here is like getting the book, getting a sponsor, and going through the steps and doing the work and getting connection with the higher power. And the wild thing is, I always kind of like was a little scared of that because again, I always had something growing up. Like I knew there was something out there, and I knew that a belief in something bigger than myself is attainable. But it always seemed like sort of many arm reaches away. So uh, the real rubber didn't hit the road, and my real sobriety didn't start until I did actually like ask this guy who was going to that. I went to that meeting a few more times, and then I did ask a friend of one of that friends to sponsor me, and that was where AA really started to make a difference. And I realized, I was definitely powerless over alcohol, and I needed my life to change, and I needed to get over this unmanageability. And and so that was where it really did change. And then we started going through the book. He had me write down all these wild things and start highlighting and talk about, all the things, unity, service, and recovery, and trying to just be in harmony with this thing. And and oddly enough, too, like he had me also write down the set aside prayer, which like really was solid and foundational to me. It was the first one that I really thought hard and long about. Like I need to just set aside all this stuff that I knew from my upbringing. I needed to set aside my conception of a higher power, my conception of God, and just really have an open mind. And the three P's he was talking about, honesty, openness, and willingness, really gave me an idea that maybe just maybe if I do this stuff, I won't go out and get loaded again, because that was like I was definitely white knuckling it and fearing it at first. I was like, oh, this is just overwhelming. I feel like I need to get loaded, but I can't get loaded because I'm gonna bomb everything. So the first definitely, I don't know, 90 days and year were just kind of a struggle bus for me. But once like I got to like let down my exterior and really start like realizing this guy is like shoulder to shoulder with me. He's not like my angry big brother or like someone dude that's gonna like tear me down. He's someone I can actually trust and like say some like pretty vulnerable stuff to, and not feel like I'm gonna, get chastised or get beat up over it. And I was like, whoa, this is actually the real friendship that I never had as a kid. Like, because I always, again, as a younger kid, I felt also kind of bullied and beat up, and even like having a big sister and a mom who kind of like sometimes were a little controlling to me. I was like, this guy is not expecting me to do anything except for show up and say my truth and say some real things, and that really meant a lot to me. So that definitely made me let down some of my walls and give him some of my time and really show up every week. And I saw in this guy also the fact that he was doing a lot of service. He was a home group member, and he also he had a much hardcore, crazier story, and did some heavy duty time in prisons, and did a lot crazier stuff. So I was like, not that intimidated telling some of the crazy stuff that I did. He was like, yeah, don't worry about that. So yeah, I was like, but yeah, so the main thing, yeah, too, was just like turning, he let me, hang out with him and turning my will over, and then like realizing, that God was like within him and within me and within all of us, I guess, right? And then yeah, when he had me, I actually had to go he wanted me to do the third step prayer at Gasworks, and that was an awkward place to kneel down and like close my eyes and like, do this prayer with him. But it really, like, honestly, that was another time where I started feeling like the winds of relief, like I felt like there was something, again, working in with me that I had never had before. And the funny thing is, after we got done doing it and we were getting up, I saw like a guy I used to get loaded with, just like riding a bike around and looking at me all awkward, like, what is this guy doing? And I'm like, I'm doing a lot different than what I used to do. And that was like, again, like a pretty amazing start to it. And then like, doing the other, 4 through 9, the action steps really did get me into action and get me you know, make some big changes in my life, and really, writing down some of the fears and really digging in there deep and letting him hear some of the vulnerabilities that I had never told anyone ever in my whole life. Like that really was a game changer for sure. That really made a big opening, for me to feel a lot better. And then uh, the real, the real juice of it too was later on when I was after doing the 4th and 5th step. I felt relief, I felt lighter. But then like writing down my list and then going and doing this in-person amends really was where the rubber did hit the road, and where I really felt some constant something was there that I definitely couldn't shake. And it was like constantly something was had my back, that I was like, damn, I had not had a back like that before. And it was like, and it just like improved my relationships, like I was no longer afraid of like saying certain things that I had never said to anyone, or just like really letting loose. And like and it actually, one of the first easy amends, like I thought it'd be just like a low hit, like a bunt, like just hang out and say an amends to a guy I used to get loaded with, and he was like actually super impressed and just really receptive to it, which I had heard like the opposite, that most people are receptive and sometimes just blow you off, but he was like super receptive and really uh, compassionate about it. And then like wildly enough, fast forward a couple of years after that, I'm working with him, and his sister passes away due to alcoholism. And he called me, and he was like, like really upset. And I was like, man, I get it, and I feel you, and I know where she was at, and I hope to God, or whatever it is out there, that she is in a better place. Because again, getting sober wasn't the end of it. And then like now that I am sober and here, I have lost other people while still sober who are still out there doing the deal, like it was saying. And that again is like kind of renewed sort of my faith though too, is like, a couple of years back, I lost my father, and like that was a really hard thing to me. But the fellowship again had my back, higher power had my back, and it was just like I just needed to dig in deeper and really get get some higher power, get some God working, and then like I showed up and started doing the service work here, and it's been it's been ebbing and flowing. It's good. District 15 is pretty solid, but we're chugging along. Everything is chugging along, and then really making sure that it is sort of a daily reprieve too. That I really do connect and give it up to the higher power, give it up to something greater than myself, and then thought maybe I should read some book stuff because there was something that. I actually was thinking of the ninth step, but there was actually something previous that just had the first three in. That it's way in we agnostics, way in there. So here are thousands of men and women, worldly indeed. They flatly declare that since they have come to believe in a power greater than themselves, to take a certain attitude towards that power and to do certain things, there was a revolutionary change in their way of living and thinking. And that's a great explanation of the steps. And then just a great explanation because, I have had sort of a change of mind, spirit, and body. And that was, early on where he had me write these things down, a three-part disease. It's a physical, mental, and spiritual. And then if I do these steps, if I do keeping this work, I can get some relief. And I've definitely found that is the case, and it's made me become a much more reliable person at jobs. Even though I can still get agitated, I can still get fired up about someone, and then it's made me grow exponentially and try to seek other spiritual and be more accepting of other spiritual people's beliefs. And that's also something that prior to getting sober, I never thought I'd really want to do and explore. But now I definitely feel like, a higher power is guiding me to believe that everyone has a great belief and everyone has a mighty idea that could be greater than mine. My ideas have got me here, and so obviously I need to keep growing and keep expanding in those. Yeah, let's see, how can I just say some more stuff to fill some more time? Yeah, no. The main other thing too is definitely, I've grown and I still continue to grow, and reading this book and then just kind of getting over myself is kind of the main thing that I do also enjoy. And then also very, very, very far back in the in the very beginning, the forward to the first edition is something really pertinent too that I'll also read. So many do not comprehend that the alcoholic is a very sick person. And besides, we are sure that our way of living has its advantages for all. It is important that we remain anonymous because we are too few people at present to handle the overwhelming number of personal appeals which may result from this publication. Mostly business and professional folk, we could not carry on our occupations in such an event. We would like it understood that our alcoholic work is an avocation. When writing and speaking publicly about alcoholism, we urge our fellowship to omit his personal name, designating himself a member of Alcoholics Anonymous, which I always thought was kind of interesting. Like, I'm just a member of Alcoholics Anonymous. But yeah, it's definitely, this membership is something I do not want to let go, and I want to grab onto it. I believe it has changed me, and I believe it's much greater to live with a purpose and live with live with a higher power than just living for my own needs and my own wills and just spinning the chasms of craziness, which still does happen, every once in a while. So I do need to again refresh and keep this thing coming back. All right, I'll leave on one other thing I wrote down. Obviously, I wasn't extremely prepared, but here we go. God's gifts put man's best dreams to shame, uh, by Elizabeth Barrett Browning, and that's like the main thing is like I kind of let go and let higher power drive the wheel. My ideas and my crazy uh, conceptions of where I think I need to be only get me into trouble. So I just need to set it loose, give up to whatever higher power, God, and then and some magic just happens, and then great things come to pass. Hmm. Can't think of anything else to say for the next 4 minutes. Someone say something for me? Yeah. That's it. All right. Thanks for letting me share.